Walking with Bartram. Wayah Bald to Lake Nantahala. As William Bartram traveled the Southeast, he documented and illustrated over 200 species of plants and animals, some previously unknown to science. On this early spring hike, as we walk with Bartram, we are also immersed in the beauty of the native flora and fauna.
Look at the way that crazy patch of lichens.
Yeah.
While we're hiking, Amanda and Liz from Stair Farm and Dr. Dan Pittillo will help us understand these native plants.
A lot of our focus is on native plants and solving problems using indigenous species.
You really minimize the amount of labor and chemical fertilizers that you have to put back into the earth, which isn't so great for pollinators or for the ground or our water that we drink.
Trout lilies. The trout lilies have an interesting operation. When they first bloom, their petals and sepals are folded down. The sun comes on them, and then they begin to curl up and out. When the sun's bright and the pollen is hanging and the pistil is there and the insects come over to visit them, and if it begins to rain, it's time to close up and keep that pollen dry. What he pointed to was a mayapple, and mayapple has got that kind of umbrella leaf that has the flower hanging underneath, and it's white with the yellow pollen. And when it matures, the little bulb that's formed, or the little fruit that's formed, goes from green to yellowish and whitish. It's edible. Otherwise, it's poison.
William Bartram wrote about the medicinal properties and uses of various plants by Native Americans. Mayapple was one of these. He attributed it to preserving the lives of many thousands of people in the southern states. Today, a chemical derived from the mayapple remains a widely used medicine in chemotherapy treatments.
Now this is spectacular right here, y'all. This is worth the day. So this is Viburnum lanthanoides blooming. This is the native high elevation Viburnum in bloom. Look at that. A whole hillside of anemones. But it's so interesting being up this high because we're still in a bare canopy, so all these spring ephemerals are still out or just at peak bloom time right now. Whereas 3,000 feet below here, this has long been gone.
I was, on this elevated region, sensible of an alteration in the air, from warm to cold, and found that vegetation was here, greatly behind, and the plants of the same kind of the country below. William Bartram.
Darwin actually started reading Bartram in the 1850s and kind of connecting the dots with Bartram's travels about how gradient and elevation and latitude all affect species distribution.
We're actually in the shade part of our native plant section. And that's primarily because when you go hiking in these areas, you're usually under the large trees.
Canopy.
So we're going to look at some of those plants here.
This is yellow root. And I know when my kids were younger, they actually liked to snap off pieces, and it's like a real bright highlighter yellow color, but I think it was also used for dye back in the day.
Bloodroot, so named because if you dig up a tuber and break it or scratch it, it will look like it's bleeding. It's got sanguine in it.
This is mountain mint. It's actually very prolific as a grower. What's nice about it is a natural Appalachian growing mint, and it's very fragrant, and it supports a lot of pollinators.
Wood betony, red elderberry. This one, if you'll notice, has got a paramedical flower, and those are white when they're in flower. And then the fruits, when they're formed, they're tiny little fruits, and those fruits are red. A lichen. Most of the lichens don't live in poor air quality. It's got some green living cells, It's got some fungal living cells. They support one another, and hence it's a symbiont or symbiotic plant. Let's talk about the trilliums. Those that live at higher elevations we think of as erect trillium. The one you just showed me is Trillium erectum. The painted trillium is a higher elevation, acidic-loving trillium of the Trilliaceae, or similar to the lilies. It's a lily. Yep, one of the higher elevation lilies.
William Bartram's contributions to the natural sciences cannot be overstated, even though most of his discoveries do not bear his name. Zacchaeus Collins, a Philadelphia merchant and botanist, wrote of William in 1813, "Mr. William Bartram has a library within himself. Some great and famous botanists have robbed him of his honey without thanking him for his trouble." William and his father, John Bartram, also helped further the study of medicine by supplying physicians, educators, and students with seeds and specimens, which were shipped internationally for 4 generations. After his travels, William continued to share his knowledge, living 40 more years at Bartram's garden as the resident botanist. He influenced his peers and mentored the next generation, many of whom literally followed in his footsteps. Botanists including André Michaud and his son Francois, John Fraser, and Thomas Natal all traveled some of the same southern roads that William did. You could say this was the beginning of the Bartram Trail.
Most of us enjoy hiking in this area, or just a lot of outdoor recreation, kayaking, whatever it is. And it's very soothing to be out there and see how nature has planted and what she's planted. Native plants make you feel like you're part of the environment that we all love so much around here.
We have an awesome, educated, experienced team. So even if you don't know anything about planting, you could come in, talk to one of our people and say, "Hey, I want something red. I don't want it to get higher than this." And we will help you find that. And when you leave here, we'll make sure that you know how to plant it, how to take care of it, so that you have the best success with that plant you can have.
Join us next time for the 12th section of our hike, Lake Nantahala to Apple Tree Campground. Connect with us on YouTube and Facebook. If you enjoyed this, click the thumbs up and follow us to see the next episode.